All right. Well, welcome everybody. Welcome. We are on here, and forgive our guests. They've got a lot of jokes. They were telling jokes before we started. You see them laughing, right? That's it. They're not just smiling because they're sitting there. It's the jokes they were just telling them. So anyway, we're grateful to be here tonight. Thank you all for joining us yet again. We've got another powerful piece to share with you guys tonight, and it's funny because this is very much unscripted. In fact, they have no idea the questions we're going to ask. I mean, seriously, they look at them, shaking their head. They're clueless right now. And so I can't wait to hear their answers because you know it's got to be from the heart, especially when you're not seeing it coming. So again, I'm going to encourage you all to please tag your friends, share this with your family, put it out there, guys. We know that we can't get to everyone on our own. And so if we can get to 10 and you can get to 10, between us, that's 20 right there whose lives have been impacted in some way. And so highly encourage you all to please go ahead and do that. And before we get into introducing our guests for tonight, let me ask my wife if she has anything she wants to say.
Oh, actually, no, you did a great job on introducing them. Just really excited about tonight's live, and the Spencers. You guys totally inspire me. Whenever I see couples that have actually done it by God's design, it's just I have so much respect for you, so much love for you, and I am so excited about hearing your story tonight. So hopefully, in and amongst our questions for you tonight, you'll also share a little bit about your story and how this all, how this power infusion actually came into place and how it actually happened. So I'm excited for you guys.
All right. Thank you, guys. So without further ado, let's go ahead and introduce them to you all so you know who you're hearing from tonight. We've got Carlos and Cece Spencer. They are originally from Buffalo, New York, and just recently moved out here with us in Georgia. And so I think they followed us, y'all. Like, seriously, I think they were like, where they going? And then they just
got plotting and scheming.
Absolutely. And by the way, they got 5 children. So between them and us, we got a full basketball team. So any of you, anytime, anywhere. Anyway, let me stay focused.
Well, they got one coming on the way, by the way. Yeah.
Oh, he's part of the bench. We got to have backup. All right. So you've already learned one thing about them, that they have 5 beautiful children. They've been married now. This year, I believe, made it 16 years, correct?
Yes.
16 years they've been married now.
In January 16.
And when?
Sorry, January it will be 16.
Yep.
Oh, next month. Yeah. Oh, okay. As far as I'm concerned, it's 16 years today.
Oh, is it? Today's the 19th?
Yep.
Yes.
Look at me remembering dates.
That's okay. And by the way, in case you guys haven't noticed, if you think they're funny, she's actually a comedian. Like, no kidding. In fact, you can check out her Facebook page. I believe it's called Seriously CC.
Yeah.
I just watched a video because her husband edits her videos, and she's got them where she does the videos, so power couple. But I just saw one the other day, and I literally couldn't stop laughing. It was distracting me from focusing on it. I couldn't stop. I can't do this right now. I got to watch this later because I wanted it to be my entertainment for the day. She is hilarious, you guys. I'm not kidding. So check out her page. She's a financial planner, a comedian. She's a mom, a wife. I mean, I can go on and on about her accolades.
Come on, bring me some. Give me some more. Oh, what I do. Let me stop.
I'm telling you, look, listen. But here's the thing: they go so well together. So as an example, she records the videos and he edits them, right? So because he does that's one of the things he does on his hobby on the side. But he's a former state trooper out in New York, right? In fact, he was the first African American state trooper to give, I believe it was the commencement speech. Am I correct, Carlos?
Yeah, at the graduation. You have the first one. Every graduating class since 1917, they choose one of the recruits to speak at the graduation, and that was the first in 2017. Was 2017? 2015.
You were the first Black president. No, just wait.
Oh, don't you start.
He's the first Black class president.
So definitely a big deal there. And he's a former chaplain, and I can go on and on, guys. He's a speaker. He's an author. He's working now. I don't know if it's his 2nd or 3rd book. The guy's just amazing, you. I'm not kidding you. Just the true Renaissance man. And the thing that I love about him, he has a heart of gold. We even started a Bible study, myself, him, and another friend of ours, Eric. And he leads the Bible study with us. So on top of all those things, he's a true man of God. I mean, knows the word like you wouldn't believe. And so anyway, I can go on and on and on about their accolades, but let's go ahead and switch gears here and dive right into tonight's conversation. Before we go into any of the tougher questions, if you will, let's start off by hearing from them. Can you guys just take a moment, and I really mean that, a moment. We don't want the long version because I want to have enough time to ask you. I've got about 10 questions in my head that I've been literally going over that I want to ask you all. And I know, I don't want just Carlos to answer one. I want to give both of you a chance to answer each question. So please give us the abbreviated version. How did the Spencers come about? How did y'all meet? What is your story?
Come about. Go ahead.
we actually met on the basketball court. My wife and I are both collegiate athletes. I played football in college. She played basketball in college. So the very first time we met in Buffalo, New York, anybody watching from Buffalo now or the replay, Delaware Park. If you're from Buffalo, New York, Delaware Park is one of the well-known places to play basketball. So the very first time we ever met was Delaware Park on the basketball court. And we have to give you the abbreviated version because it's literally a book to write of how we kept in touch and God kept bringing us back together. But the initial meet was on the basketball court, right? Mm-hmm. Anything else?
It's a movie.
It's a movie.
Well, but then after we met on the basketball court, we became friends, and then we became prayer partners.
Yes, we did.
And then after we became prayer partners, began to date. Did I say begin? Okay, so we began to date. Mm-hmm. And then a year later, the other things, like we knew each other for like 4 years. And then we dated for about a year and got married.
Right.
There you go. That's the short version.
That's the short version.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. That is the short version because I know some of those other details, especially about how Carlos used to come and hang around the basketball court like he really loved basketball. I'll talk about that another time. I don't want to.
He was like, "That's a fine young thing down there."
Yes, he was.
Somewhere, maybe on the 26th, we'll tell y'all her part, what she used to do to come and see me. Go ahead, O. I'm gonna let you go, Obi.
And you guys heard. Y'all heard him allude to the 26th. Yes. There, by the way, there are two of the trainers that will be speaking on the Unleash Your 2000, the best version of you in 2018 conference. So you're getting kind of a preview here. But anyway, let's go ahead and dive into some questions. So Carlos CC, question 1 answered. Thank you very much. Question 2, in terms of somebody who is single, right, watching these videos, or maybe married before and is single now, why is it important for a single person to plug into things like covenant marriages, to learn from married couples now? Because sometimes people think, oh, well, it's covenant marriage, but I'm not married yet. When I get there, I'll take a look at what you guys have. And I often think, man, that's a mistake. But why would you guys agree with that it's a mistake? It's better to take a look and start learning these things now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. Well, just like if you were to take a test, if you want to succeed at the test, I think you should put some studying into it instead of just being like, oh, well, I'm gonna just get out here and take this test. Mm-hmm. It's the same thing in anything that you want to succeed in. You need to start studying up on it, learn about it, and get some advice because there's so many things that you find people have in common in their relationship. But when you're in the relationship and when you're in the marriage, sometimes if you don't get that advice, you'll think and believe you're the only person going through it. Mm-hmm. So I would advise people definitely to seek out Covenant, say it again.
Covenant Marriage Academy.
Thank you. I didn't want to mess it up. Covenant Marriage Academy, CMA. I would advise you to seek out CMA for the simple fact that if you want to know about something, if you want to succeed about something, you have to start putting in the energy and effort to be successful in it now. You don't just say, okay, once I get in it, then I'm gonna do the daggone thing.
Mm-hmm. Right. I like it because it's an age-old saying that the wisest person is a person who learns from mistakes. And then it went on to say, no, the wisest person is a person who's learned from somebody else's mistakes. Right. So with Covenant Marriage Academy, learning from somebody else's marriage, learning from what didn't work and learning from what does work. You can skip some things. Now, there are some things with every marriage you're going to have to learn, and some things you're going to have to face head on. But if you don't have to face it head on, why do that? Mm-hmm. Like I look at ourselves, 16 years in marriage. I wish we took more time to find out more information. I wish something like this was around, to be honest. I wish something like this was around where we could have just plugged in and like skipped everything else. We don't have to go there. You don't have to go there. All the information is right here.
Right.
You can plug into this one place, and I can access the information. Access the couples. They can plug me in together with other couples. I can look on the page and see information. Like it's a one-stop shop. Like I wish. Like that's how I like looking at today's days with the internet. And looking at how things were when we were in college. Like you had to go and look in the encyclopedia and find the answer and read through this book and read through that book. The information is here, but it's more ready available. So relevant. I would say it's more relevant, definitely more relevant, more ready available. And just flat out, man, being 16 years in marriage, being able to learn about marriage before getting into marriage, there's so many things that you could save your marriage, or there's so many ways you can make your marriage even more great or greater by learning. More great, we're gonna throw that out there.
Yeah, more great.
More great, you can make it more great. Trust me.
Great-alicious.
Great-alicious. Just by finding out some information from somebody else, and what my wife said is key, you tend to think that you're the only person.
Yeah.
You tend to think that nobody else is going through this. You tend to think things like, man, who else can do this? Who else can help me with this? So finding out about marriage before you can get into marriage is the best way to cause your marriage to be successful. Like, don't wait until you get married to learn everything. I wish, can we rewind time and see if CMA is going to be back there? No, we can't do that.
We totally understand that, because we too looked for a community to become a part of when we first got married, and it just was not there. And I'm so grateful that God is inspiring not just us, but so many other organizations like Covenant Marriages Academy to do the same thing. So there's been a huge attack on his union and on his marriage. And so when we see couples like CC and Carlos Spencer, we definitely want to, kind of lock arms with you guys and have not just have you to be a part of our community, but also be a part of your community, because iron sharpens iron. And as long as we continue to associate together, pray for each other, and actually help, and pay it forward, basically help other couples to do the same thing, then as a result, we will see better communities and better schools and just better families all together. But it definitely starts with us, each of us taking responsibility for our part. So for sharing the information, I mean, something as small as just sharing, something as small as inviting someone to watch a live with them, or whatever, conferences, inviting another couple to a conference, something just that small can help to change the life or the legacy of a family. So what you guys are saying is just so spot on. And we that was the inspiration behind Covenant Marriages, because we didn't see a community. So we decided to create it ourselves. So,
can I say this too, Obi and Belinda? For young, not exclusively just to young people, but you really don't see the information for young people like that. Like, you don't see a place where a young man or a young woman can go to and get information about marriage. And that's one thing I think is really important about, like I said, not exclusively, but maybe somebody in their 20s or mid 20s or even early 30s, and they're trying to find out some information, because it just doesn't seem like marriage is the popular thing. So to have something like this where you can go in their space, on the internet, like in the social media, something in their space, I think is so valuable for this. It's needed and valuable for this day and age. I really do.
I feel like they still want to get married, but I think they don't always have the keys to stay in the marriage.
Right, that's true.
I think people still desire, and singles still desire to get married, because it can be probably lonely. I'm not sure. And you couldn't pay me to date. No. You could not pay me to date in this. No.
God bless you. If you're single, praying for you.
Do it. You got this thing. You can do it. But I think they need that support once they do get into the world of marriage because I think everything is so fast, and people don't always know how to stick to stuff. But you can't do stuff if you don't have the tools, which CMA will provide to be able to stick with it. Because like I said, when you don't know, that you're going through the same feeling that most people have gone through in a marriage, in a relationship, or anything. If you don't know that and you start feeling like, oh, I'm the only one, my husband the only one to leave his socks out, and I keep asking him to pick them up, and he don't help me with the laundry, he don't never do, like, if you keep thinking that you're the only one, you're gonna let those negative thoughts continue to grow,
right,
blah blah blah. But if you go and you're a part of CMA,
yes,
and you hear somebody else say it's not that big of a deal,
Right.
or even if it is that big of a deal to you, let's find a way to communicate.
Right.
Get through it.
And find a way to get over that. And I think that's huge. One question I wanted to ask you, if you don't mind, honey.
Just real quick before you go there. Just I want to ask you guys a question. So it's really, here's what I just heard. Love is not enough. Love is not enough. And I think where the challenge comes in today is that and not to be stereotypical, but it's usually the woman who is super duper excited about marriage from a young age forward. As guys, we don't even really start focusing on it until later on. That's what I found anyway. It's been my experience. But you know, little girls, they I can't wait to get married. They think about their dress and all this stuff. So here's my question. It's with regard to like the media and what is happening today. Cece, you just said something that was really strong, because I completely echo those sentiments. I have the same exact belief system. Like I don't want to date today. Like if I was not to be married right now, I probably wouldn't be dating, just because there's so much stuff and confusion out there. Yeah. And what I see is like a lot of people have this TV idea of marriage. Yeah. They've got the Hollywood perspective of marriage. And so, you know, I think that they come into a relationship, you know, expecting the guy to open the door for them every single time, sweep them off their feet, shining armor, and then, you know, go home and conquer 3 dragons and a zebra. You know, I'm African. I got those dragons.
And a zebra. I like that.
No, like
just don't kill the giraffes, Obi.
Hey, be careful, Cece. I know where you live. So
I like giraffes. That's all.
As long as you don't eat them.
Don't eat them. Just don't eat them.
No meat.
Yes, okay. No meat. There you go. And we can talk about that too. But here's my question. So they have that idea. They have the Hollywood version of what marriage should look like, and then they get into their marriage expecting that, right? And he may open the door once a week, or he may open it every other time, or he may never open it, or he may never, you know, go kill a giraffe or a tiger or whatever and come home with, honey, I got food, I got money. He may never do all those things, or she may never clean the house or take care of the kids like she should. But they run into this dilemma. This picture that they are actually living is different from the picture that Hollywood painted. Right. And then what happens is they bridge the gap between the two with this word called divorce. And so if I was to ask you guys, like, you know, what do you have to say about that? Any advice for people that are looking to get married in terms of, you know, what it's really like, what really happens? You know, is it that you come into the marriage and you're going to get to fix your spouse, or is it that you come into the marriage and you get to learn so many things about you that you need to fix? Like, what does marriage really look like outside of the Hollywood perspective?
Right.
I think that people don't understand a lot of times that marriage is there's so many stages in marriage. Mm-hmm. And you become a part of CMA, you'll be able to even learn and understand that you go through this honeymoon stage in marriage, and then you go through the 7-year itch in marriage, and then you go through, you know, a stage where you might be dealing with death because your parents might be dying, or even before that, you have your children leaving the house or something, empty nest stage, money, work stage. I mean, there are a lot of different stages that you go through, and a lot of times what happens to me, what I understand happens, is that people don't mature with their marriage.
There you go.
They come in at this infancy stage believing what society tells them about marriage. Oh, it's always gumdrops and lollipops, and they still think it's gumdrops and lollipops. And anything that you want, anything worth having is worth working for. Mm-hmm. So it was funny. I went into the office today, and me and a coworker were talking about the millennials. Mm. And he was like, "Man, these millennials is weak." I was like, you can't say that about the millennials. Don't do that. But we have to understand that, like I said, anything worth having is worth working for. If you don't want it, fine, don't work for it. But if you want it, you have to work for anything you want in life. You want success, you got to work for it. You want a good marriage, you have to work for it.
I think some people, especially with the media and how it feeds them, and I think some people don't understand that it is work. Like I would say a lot of times, and I actually thank God for the wisdom, because I can't take credit for it, because I've had like cousins and stuff say to me now what I said to them when they were getting married. I was like 2 years in marriage, young, early 20s, and they would ask me, what is marriage, Carlos? And I was like, it's a beautiful thing that takes work. Like that was my saying to other people who would ask me information about marriage. It's a beautiful thing, but it takes some work. And I think television and everything else has fed people to make them believe that marriage doesn't take work, has led them to believe that it's always going to be a honeymoon, has led them to believe that you'll never have a falling out, like, and if you do, then it's over. Like, I love, my grandfather said this: marriage multiplies your blessings and divides your hardships. He said, marriage, when two people come together, you have somebody to share your blessings with, and you have somebody to divide your hardships. So not only does marriage make your blessing, does marriage make it more bliss, because I get to enjoy my life with my wife, but when it's hard, I get to divide it with her. So not only is that a blessing, it also lets me know that there are some times when it's going to be hard. Right. There are some times when this thing is not going to just be easy. So I think things like this, things like CMA, things like being able to come and address and speak with other couples, it allows you to go and talk to somebody else. My revelation is I'm always right to me. But if I come to somebody else and I say, yo, this is what I'm thinking, and they're like, no, that's not the way you should be thinking, somebody else can tell me in a healthy space. Let me say that. This is a healthy space, especially with today and bullying and the way people want to talk and just say how they feel and just spew out information. You need a safe place for somebody to give you good advice. I love it. Somebody said it like this: if you're going to cut me, at least stay around to bandage me up. Like, don't just cut me and leave me bleeding. Like, you just cut me and said, just get better, and left me all stranded. This is a place where you're going to get cut. But it's also a place where you're going to get cut and you're going to get bandaged up so you can have time to heal. So you can, like surgery, when you get cut in surgery, you're getting cut because they're trying to fix something. So I think that this is a good place to get cut. And the way that this world is designed, unfortunately, I think people have this false conception or belief that marriage is just always going to be them feelings in your stomach. Marriage is a decision.
Right.
Marriage is not a feeling.
Gas.
That's gas, right? You probably had some bad Taco Bell. Like that ain't love. Marriage is a decision, man. Marriage is not a feeling, and I love it. I love it. I can honestly say I ain't have no reason to make this up. I've talked to Obi, I've talked to Belinda, and I've gotten information that's helped my marriage. Right? I've got some information that has helped my marriage to be better and help me to make better decisions. And I can say this. It didn't always feel good because marriage wasn't just a feeling, but it was some information that helped me stick to a decision that we made. Yeah.
That's so strong.
That is very strong.
That's great. We're getting feedback.
Is that on my end or yours? Hold on, let me close mine and see if it's me. Oh, is that better?
We don't hear the feedback.
Oh, okay.
But I will say this.
Yeah, it was us.
Okay. I will say this real quick while you are dealing with your technical issues. One of the things that I was even admiring and loving about the Covenant Marriage Academy is that you don't always get this information at church either.
That's true. That's true.
Not that they don't want to give it to you, but sometimes that ministry in your church might not be as strong as it needs or should be, can be, or they might not have the ability to have this type of strong ministry. And we all know it's very needed. And I'm sure the churches, appreciate something like this, because I would hope they would want to even plug their members into something like this, because you all are gifted at what you do. You really are gifted. Yeah. You are anointed to do what you do. And I think that you're using your gifts in the capacity that God wants you to use your gifts. And sometimes I'm not putting anybody's church down, but sometimes you get those that are not gifted in that area running this type of ministry, and it's not as effective as it could be because it might not be their gifted area. But because somebody's been married a long time doesn't mean that that's necessarily their gifting.
That's true.
And so, kudos to you all, and thank you for walking in your gifts.
Seriously.
And seriously, because even when we went, I know we were even speaking at another conference together, but I was so thankful that you all were there, and I was like just writing notes, taking so many notes, texting people, hey, y'all need to get here, because you are truly walking in your anointing, and I appreciate it.
I'll say this, and I'll let you go. I won't say it long. This is the 100% truth. Yeah. After the conference, we were in the car at the house till about 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, talking about the information that you guys had shared. And that's not just because we're on this live with you all. That's just the truth, because I really want you to understand how much your marriage can be helped, or how much you can be helped before you even get in the marriage. We literally sat in the car after the conference about 1, 2 in the morning, just talking about the information that was shared.
And the proof is in the pudding. You two are wonderful.
That's it.
Thank you.
Babies. Y'all doing something right.
See, no jokes. I see it coming.
It's not a joke. That's real.
It's real.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. And we got a couple of questions that we have to address. So guys, we'll be addressing your questions quite shortly. But we definitely want to tell you that we really appreciate your accolades. We really appreciate the love, and we really appreciate the fact that you guys were blessed, because that's what my husband and I, we do it for. It's really, truly about helping families. It really, 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 truly is about getting the information out to other people. But you guys must know that if we are those vessels, you gotta know that the enemy is constantly working to tear us apart. So one of the main things we had to realize is that even we're not beyond like a breakup. We're not beyond the breakup. And whenever we realize that we're not beyond the breakup, then it keeps us on our P's and Q's. It keeps us on our knees, praying in prayer. It keeps us really taking care of each other's hearts. And that's what I believe that happens to a lot of couples. Unfortunately, they get to the space to where they just get comfortable. And then they stop really caring about the things that were so important at the beginning. And one of the things that we decided is like, listen, we're going to start out how we can finish. Okay? So if I'm going to lavish you and treat you kind and be loving and respectful and all those beautiful things to you now, I'm not going to grow tired of it, because it's not, my actions are not motivated by something not real or by something fake. It's motivated from a place of love. Now, does that mean that I'm still loving my husband the same way I did when we first married? No, it doesn't mean that, because now I've grown into more. Now I'm a better woman. Now I'm a better person. And now I seek to meet his needs in a different way. But again, it's because I realized that, we're not perfect. We can fail. Like whenever we began to take our eyes off of Christ, and whenever we began to make this journey about us, or we become the deal, that's when we have literally left where our destination, the path of our destination, and we are now walking in different pathways. Now, I may leave that space and my husband may still be there. He may leave that space and I may still be there, whatever the situation is. But fact is that, guys, we need prayer, just like you guys need prayer, So just thank you so much for the encouragement. Thank you guys so much. We definitely love you. Thank you.
Yeah. I think the thing to keep in mind, and I guess this is where kind of like where my next question will go, is that my mentor put it this way. He said, when you turn off the light switch, how far away did darkness go? Darkness is only a light switch away, right? So you turn on the light, all of a sudden you can see everything. But you might think, oh, yes, I'm good now. Darkness is so far away. No, all it takes is just one person, whoop, switch, darkness immediately. Yeah. So when we keep that in mind, that you always want to take care of yourself, right? You always want to take care of your marriage. So let me ask you guys, let me move into some tougher questions. And there are 2 or 3 that people have written down here that we're going to ask in 1 second. And I highly encourage those watching, we posted on there, please post your questions and we'll ask them on your behalf. How have you guys, or any advice for married couples who may have forgotten that darkness was a light switch away and it's gotten dark frequently? It's gotten dark, and it seems like it's stayed dark almost permanently. How do you guys deal with your challenges? How do you guys deal with when you're not seeing eye to eye? Or as my brother Carlos would say, because I've quoted you on here several times, Carlos. Now, I'm not talking about just this live, just in the, I don't know how many lives we've done at this point. Almost in like about half of them, I've quoted you on something. But there was something you said, my wife and I have heated fellowship, right? When you and your wife are having heated fellowship, you already know I'm listening. When you're having heated fellowship, or for those of us who may not understand, when they're arguing or they're going at it head to head, how do you guys recover? Because I think that's where the challenge lies, right? You don't have to teach a baby how to smile. Anybody knows how to be happy. It's how to deal with the sad times, the down times. How do you all recover?
Right.
Well, first they got to a point of learning that you have to mature. You want to get back to a good space. So if you're the one that always has to apologize, get busy.
That's it.
Start apologizing, because you want to, you have to mature. Do you want, this was the quote I said before, I think. It's like your mind space has to change, because if you are always the one winning the argument, right? So if you're winning, oh, I'm winning. I done told him, what to do and where to take it. I won this argument. So that means that you're trying to beat your husband. So that means you married a loser. So if you married a loser, what did that say, or what does that say about you? What kind of person marries a loser? Right. So take that little bit, swallow that, and tell yourself, okay, I'm not trying to win. I need to learn some empathy. I need to learn. And it's a mature. You got to grow up. Right. My husband says sometimes I don't have the best tact, so I'm trying to be gentle. But growing up is a part of being married. It's not fun disagreeing, but it is what it is. You're not going to always agree on everything. Right. There's always going to be 2 sides, how that person feels, how the other person feels. And you have to communicate. You talk, okay? Be respectful of one another. Be respectful of one another. You have that voice. You have that voice on the inside. That is the Holy Spirit telling you to shut up. You like, nope, you know what? I'm going to just say this real quick. And your mama, what? You know that's the button. You know that's the button to push. That's just going to blow it up. You like, I'm about to close this case. Your mama, you know, whatever the button is, fight fair. You don't need to fight dirty. But when it does get to that point, let's say he has totally exhausted me. He has gotten on my nerves. He has scratched his beard so much that I'm like, what? Why are we doing that? Whatever it is, if he has gotten me to that level, I need to be mature enough either to walk away or else, I just need you not to do that. Like whatever it is, find a way to communicate to that person that is not offensive, because you would want them to take the time to do that to you.
Absolutely.
Or for you.
Right.
Right. Oh
yeah. I'd also say too that just some practical things that we've done in our marriage, like when we're in heated fellowship or when we're upset, like we have this rule. Like if you're going to laugh, you have to let yourself laugh. Like in the middle of the argument, if it's everybody's upset, we're like you can't force yourself not to laugh. And what we found out that God will make one of us laugh, and the other person can't get upset. So you can't be, what you laughing for? Like we have this unwritten rule.
No.
I'm gonna stay mad. So we have this unwritten rule that if something, the Holy Spirit tries to make the situation lighter, you have to let it be lighter, right? You gotta allow that thing to flow that way. And at the beginning of marriage, we wouldn't allow that. At the beginning of marriage, we both of us, we try to stay and be mad for nothing. So we have that unwritten rule. Another thing, my cousin Darcel said this: if 97% of the problems of your marriage is your spouse, then work on the 3% that's you. Right. If you say 97% of this problem is them, well, work on your 3% that's you. That's right. You have to, in a marriage, and I'll say this for those who are saved, if you're not, I encourage you to meet the Lord and your spouse to be one who knows the Lord as well. And I say this because my wife is submitted to Christ. I'm submitted to Christ. I can go to God and be like, man, now you made her. Now she is tripping a little bit, Lord. And I know she's your child. But here's the key.
I'm going to tell Jesus.
I'm going to tell Jesus, but here's the key. Most times, Jesus is going to come back and say, well, what about you?
Exactly.
What are you doing? So the other part I say, Obi, to answer your question is, when I get to those points and I am upset and I'm like, what's going on? And I pray about it, I have to be open to what the Holy Spirit is going to tell me to do. Last thing I'll say, just shorten up this part, is I go and talk to people. Other married men. It's just, I'll go and talk to them, other married men who are in my life who I know are not going to just see it my way.
Yes.
So if I'm upset, and even sometimes I got to let off steam, at least I'm letting off, we said it earlier, I'm letting off steam in a safe place where I know my friend ain't going to be like, man, well, you should leave her then. Like, I know that's not the conversation I'm going to get.
Exactly.
That's right. So I'm calling on people who have my best interests in mind. People are going to hear me out. Like, this is just some natural, actual things you can do. Like, you can get spiritual and deep. I'll do that with you all day. Fast and pray. I'll do that with the best of them. But I'll pick up the phone and I'll go call somebody who's going to give me some advice, and they're not going to always tell me what I want to hear.
Right. I think, Carlos, that's the key right there. That last part is key, because one of the things that we found, is that me or you? I'm getting a little feedback. You guys don't hear it? Oh, that's good. It's gone. Okay. So one of the things that we found, because a lot of folks, they should know this. Let me just make sure because sometimes people take us so literally. Carlos, and you tell me if I'm wrong, brother, you're not telling people to bring people into their marriage, correct?
No.
Okay, just want to make sure, because sometimes people hear things, especially on a forum like this, and they take it so literal. So let's be clear. Carlos is not telling you to bring people into your marriage. Right. You and your spouse are married, and that union is for both of you. But when you reach the space where you don't have any other resource or information inside to move from, you don't have a blueprint to model, then what he's saying is you reach out to someone. Now, here's the thing. This is it. This is really key. Reach out to someone who you know is more than likely going to tell you about you. In other words, if I have an issue with my wife, I'm not going to reach out with someone that's going to agree with me. I'm going to reach out to the person who's more than likely not going to agree with me and my point of view. They're going to talk to me about the right thing to do with her, whether it means that they're talking, Obi, you shouldn't have done that. Obi, you know what? You need to go and apologize first before you go. That's what he's saying. So let's make sure we're clear. Just wanted to put that out there, because I've had some folks listen to some of our lives and then they've gone off and done like literally verbatim. I'm like, no, that wasn't what we meant. But anyway, so CC, you can use that on one of your comedy routines. Now, a couple of things.
He said, go get another man and ask him.
No.
So we've got a couple of questions here, and I don't want to dominate the conversation, so I'll let my wife here read one or two of them to you all. We've got some really good questions. In fact, let's go up top and start there and see how many of them we can knock out. Okay, there's one.
Okay. This is from Jasmine. Hi, Jasmine. By the way, I hope you're still on. Thank you so much for joining us. Okay, so this question is, how important is it to understand your spouse's love language when it comes to marriage?
Good.
That is huge. How important it is to understand your spouse's love language when it comes to marriage. We can tackle that. You want to? You want to give them a chance?
Yeah, no, let's hear from our guests first. Yeah, go for it.
That was our first book we read when we got married.
Yeah.
Was Love Languages. Very important to understand, because my interpretation of it is I can be speaking cat all day and he can be speaking dog all day. And if I'm like meow 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 meow, he's like roo, roo, roo. Like if no one understands, like he has to learn how to speak cat and I have to learn how to speak dog. So therefore we can actually communicate and be what the other person needs us to be. You can't be focused on, well, what I need is this. Well, you keep needing what you need by yourself then.
Right.
But you need tact. Sorry. So in order to be loving and supportive, you need to make sure you know how to speak that other person's love language. And make sure, I mean, it's very important. It's like I said, the first book we read as a couple. Well, you might have read another book first, but anyway, first book I read as a couple, and then it was Power of a Praying Wife was the second one. I say yes. You need to understand it's very important, because you need to, if I keep bringing him, what don't you like?
Strawberries.
Yes. Oh yeah, that's a great example. If I keep bringing him chocolate covered strawberries, like, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna bring him some chocolate covered strawberries, and he like, no thanks. I want to be offended because he doesn't like it, but he doesn't like it. Like, get him something that he wants, and give him the love, affirmation, support. What's some other? Feel it, a touch, feel all those.
I think it's important because in marriage, it is, if you make your spouse number one, well, after God, we definitely know that. Like we say, some people take it literal, right? If you make your spouse after God the number one thing in your life, and she makes you the number one thing after God, then neither one of you ever come in last place. So if you make sure I'm giving her the language that she needs, she makes sure she's giving me the language that I need, then both of our needs always get met. Like, we never get left out. So I think it's really important. It'll save you some time. It'll also save you a lot of frustration. And it'll also, just skip the negative side, it'll make your marriage like very great, like super dope. Like, you'd be like, wow, how did I get my marriage this way? You got your marriage this way by giving your spouse what they need, and they're giving you what you need. It'll make your marriage a lot better place. That's a very good question, and a very good thing to look into, the other person's love language. The person who asked that question, very good. Very good.
I would also encourage this: allow them some room to change their love language a little bit, because I was more of an affection person. I think, like, when we first got married, I want to sit up under my husband and all that other stuff. But after having 5 children and they touch you all the time, you're like, just everybody stop touching me for a moment. Not in a mean way.
5 minutes.
Just 5 minutes. Please leave me alone for 5 minutes. So, I mean, the core of me probably is still affectionate and different things like that. But, like, allow for your person. Don't put them in a box. This can only be your love language forever. Like, allow them to explore other aspects of their love language, because it can mature, it can change a little bit. He might like
exactly it does. Stage, as a matter of fact, with each stage of your union with the child, you're not the same as you was when you were just the two of you.
Right.
Up to that level of integrity. So absolutely. And we encourage couples that whenever you have a change in your life, those are subjects you definitely want to revisit. A major change, because circumstances change individuals. And though your need may have been affection at the time, like you said, now it is words of affirmation. I am working my butt off. I need to know that I'm doing a good job and that you're noticing. So it changes. So revisiting that conversation is so important. Yeah, absolutely. So great question, Jasmine.
Yes.
All right.
So let's move on to the next one here. We've got Eric Eve. Shout out to Eric. He's watching. Eric, I think this is a really good question. I think the singles would appreciate this question.
Yes.
He said, question for this. He said, all four of us. He said, several years later, several kids later, knowing what you now know, what would you do differently in terms of preparation as a single person?
Preparation as a single person.
You asking us first?
Sure.
Okay.
You go first.
I would say, and especially coming from Eric, coming from a male perspective, I would say to make sure I had myself and my stuff together, financially, spiritually. You know, as a man, one of my mentors, I watch a lot of this information, Myron Golden. He says this. He said, if life is hard by yourself, it's going to be twice as hard when you get married.
Yeah.
If it costs this much when you're single, it's going to cost twice as much when you're married. Like if you need this house when you're single, you need twice as much house when you're married. So what I would have done as a young person going back is I would have made sure financially that I was able and in a place to take care of more than myself, and that I had things set in place, that I had a home for the family to grow in, that I had financial planning for our family, that spiritually I had myself in a strong place. A strong enough place to know that I'm going to be the person who is going to be the king, priest, pun intended, of my home. So as a man, I would say to Eric or to many others, there are some things that I would have had more together. And knowing that, Carlos, you're going to have to be responsible for more than just yourself. Are you ready to take on more than just yourself? And not going back to what we said earlier, I just feel like I'm in love, so I'm just going to jump into this thing. That's fine, but I would make sure as a man that there were certain things I had in place financially, spiritually, and physically. Yeah.
Right.
Great answer.
Good stuff,
Rose.
Oh, yeah. What about you, Cece?
I probably would have had a stronger prayer life. And just had more, maybe knew better, or maybe a better definition of a wife. But I would have to say, but I had a great example of my mother. My mother and my father have been married very long time, 45 years, I think. 40 something.
Yeah.
I'm not the best with dates all the time. But my mother was a very good example, but I think I should have increased my prayer life to just hear more, be able to hear more from the Holy Spirit on how to move, when to move in that manner.
Got it.
Oh, yeah.
That makes a world of
Very
sense.
Strong.
Yeah, it makes a world of sense. Thank you for sharing that, Cece.
All
right.
Definitely.
Go ahead.
You're welcome.
Okay. Eric, to answer your question, I guess they really, I mean, you guys, those were two key major points that I would certainly think are number one and number two, having yourself, because that's really it, having yourself together and making sure you have a great relationship with God. If I were to add anything to those two things, it would just have a plan. Have a plan. Like when you go into a marriage, you need to have a plan for what your future is, or what you can bring to the marriage, and be open to that plan changing. And also being willing to merge or to mesh your ideas with that of your spouse's. And just realizing that when you go into that marriage, it is no longer, I'm single. No, that mentality has got to go. You've got to come into the door being willing and ready to do everything together. That was one of my delays at the beginning, right? Like I didn't know that I still had a single person's mentality. I didn't know that that's where I was. I mean, I feel like I had a great relationship with God. I feel like, I had myself together, but I still, things were more like my, rather than, okay, we're married now, this is ours. So that I had to change that, and I understand now. I see the benefit of that. Now I see the joy in that, and now I see the beauty. And that's what I would say. Just be really have a plan for your life, have a plan for your future, but have that plan so clear, but also be willing to surrender that plan when you get to your marriage. So, but at least you can bring something to the table, a direction, so that you know for sure who you are, where you're going, and a clear pathway on how to get there. And then you can now merge that idea with your spouse, and you guys can see how that meshes together as a couple as you become one.
Yeah. And for me, I would say this, and it's interesting because I feel like each of your answers would fall under this category, and this was present for me as soon as I read that question. And what I would say is that I would have lived from this space more back then. Let me explain in about 30 seconds. I'll be brief. Before you leave your house, you think about where you're going. In fact, before you go to sleep, you think about your next day. All right, let me go to bed early because tomorrow I got an early start. I got to get started at this time because I need to be out the house by this. Okay, I'll eat this breakfast. And then on the way, I'm going to call this person. I'm going to listen to that video from Cece that I've been wanting to watch that distracted me from working. All right, this is what I'm going to do. That's little plugs. All right. So that's my point is I would have lived from this space that I am in more back then. I would have been living for today more back then. I think a lot of us can probably relate to this in that we end up dating people that we're like, man, that was just a pure waste of my life. That was just a pure waste of my existence. Like, why did I even give you that energy? Like, that's something I could have saved for my queen later. You know what? Man, I should not have gone into that relationship because that wasted 3 years of. So I would have lived more from this space back then. I would have been preparing for where I was going before the next day even started. So that's what I would say. And I know we all can relate different ways with that.
Yeah.
But that's what shows up for me so strongly. Even though I did prepare to some degree, John and Darcy Hoffman would have these marriage seminars once a year. And I remember going for like 6-7 years in a row. I was the only single person there. Everybody else was married 10, 15, 30 years. And they would all look at me and say, man, you're a genius because you're here and you're not married yet and you're here. Everybody else who was single was out partying. I was like, no, I'm going to John and Darcy because they got something special. I want that. But I just wish I started that journey early.
It's so interesting to hear him say that because maybe I just didn't know a lot of people, but for me, he was so prepared for marriage in so many different ways. But it really makes me feel good to hear him even go there now. So I think that's so sweet.
Yeah, thank you. So let me do this. I almost forgot before we forget. We had like 3 other questions pop up, and I know I promised y'all. You guys are asking some amazing questions, y'all. Keep them coming, please.
Awesome.
Okay, so this other young lady, Georgiana asked a good question. Hey, Georgie. She said, can you speak on celibacy and setting boundaries, especially as an adult single in early mid-30s, especially when wanting to honor God in the midst of an over-sexual society prior to marriage when being courted? So you guys get that?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay, go for it.
Yeah, you want me to go ahead?
Yeah, you know.
Yeah, I say this. My wife and I, we say this often. And, of course, like you said, Obi and Belinda, you say that we're going to be touching on this, especially for those who are coming into marriage. And my wife and I, we didn't have sex with each other before we got married. I will say, just being transparent, that we weren't virgins, but we did not have sex with each other. We were celibate with each other. And I had made that decision before meeting her.
Don't say that. My daddy might be what? Daddy, close your eyes, close your ears, daughter.
So I literally, this goes back kind of to Eric's question leading into what we're saying here. I made that decision before I was looking for a wife. I made that decision for myself. I'm going to do this because I want to honor God, and I know that this is the right thing that I should be doing for myself. It was at that point that I then ran into and found my wife. The Bible says, man, find the wife finds a good thing. You also obtain the favor from the Lord. But this is one thing that my wife and I both say. One of the really important things about remaining celibate before marriage is we've seen this on the other side of marriage, and we've seen marriages fail. We're being flat out, straight up, right? Obi, Belinda, we good, right?
Yeah.
When you're before you're getting married, not having sex causes you to really find out what you like about the other person.
Right.
It causes you to really see that you're friends. Because I got news for you. Men, lean in. After you get married, you won't be having sex all the time. Okay. Now I say that a lot, but it's not all the time. It's not. I say that to say my wife and I, we learned that we enjoyed each other's space. Right. We enjoyed each other's conversation. We enjoyed going out to the movies. We enjoyed going out to eat and have dinner. And we learned that we could enjoy each other without sex. Mm-hmm. Now, sex is a great and wonderful thing. We have 5 children. Obi and Olinda, they got another one on the way. So we're showing you by proof in the pudding that it's great. What I'm saying, though,
we at least had sex 5 times.
So what I'm saying is, though, you learn that you can enjoy the person, and once you get married, you learn that your marriage can be enjoyable without having sex. And we found out that some people who got married, I have close friends that after they got married and they weren't having as much sex as they did before they got married, then the marriage was shaky because they started figuring out, watch this, I don't even really enjoy this person's company that much. Right. Now, that's sad to get into a marriage to find out that when you're not having sex all the time, that you don't even enjoy this person as much. But look at another thing that sex can do. It can also cloud your vision to some things that you don't see until you get into marriage. Now, I'm not saying that once you get to marriage, you have to leave because of things, but it gives you more clarity to see this person, and it gives you more of the ability to be able to experience more in the relationship. So it worked wonders. That is one of the things when we talk to younger couples, it ain't even just for the sake of sex. We usually lead in by saying, hey, it'll cause you to get to know somebody else. And it'll cause you that after you get married, it'll show you that, yo, I really enjoyed it. Me and my wife enjoy sports. Like, we'll sit down and watch a basketball game and have a blast. There's so much that we learned about each other through that whole process. Now I'll let you touch on the phone call stuff. You want to touch on that part?
You just keep it up.
You want to touch on that part of the conversation we used to do before marriage?
You can touch on that. Okay. I was just going to give her a few things to do. First of all, one of the first few conversations, maybe not on the first date, hey, I don't have sex before marriage. Maybe not that, but in the first few conversations that needs to be brought up that you don't plan on having sex before marriage. And if this person agrees with you, okay, well, let's set some rules and some boundaries. We don't need to be out past, midnight by ourselves with one another. Right. You can have an accountability partner, like you have to remind one another, hey, we said we're not going to have sex because it got hard sometimes.
Yeah.
We was like, ooh, we going to get married anyway. I'm just saying.
I'm telling you, boy. We going to be real, right? We going to be real. We engaged.
It's like a month away.
I know. But it was in those times that one person was stronger than the other because we both were going for the same thing.
Right. Yeah. And it was
you guys can't give it all away. Remember, you can come and hear the story. You can't give it all away.
Right. So you know what? I'll say the phone call story for the 26th. I'll save that story.
Oh, okay. But just to give you some helpful hints, it seemed like as if you were asking what to do. You need to set some boundaries, and you have to be both of you have to agree upon it. And it might not feel good if the person's like, oh no, well then he's not for you, or she's not for you. Because there's women out there that are tigresses that be on the prowl too. It's not always just the men. Yeah. But so there has to be an understanding and agreement, and both of you have to agree to it. Yeah. That's not something that you all cannot not agree on. Did I say that right? You have to agree upon it. And it's not always easy. So and that's why you have to agree upon it.
I'll say this too. You were still saying something? No. I'll say this too. It will cause you to eliminate some people that should be eliminated. Right. So let's say let's keep that in mind as well. The for the young lady, since she asked a question, it'll cause you to X out some guys who should be X'd out. Mm-hmm. Like they don't want to come into this agreement with me, then they're, like my wife said, that's probably not the guy for you. And it's probably a very good thing that you establish that so you don't even have to waste your time.
Yeah, Jabari's with the long, wavy, light-skinned hair. You might need the paper bag brown dude. That's nice.
And it's probably a good thing that you put up that, like you, Belinda, you said, that's a plan. You have a plan for it, so that's good. I'll leave it at that.
And I'm just saying, like, don't X out paper bag brown. I'm paper bag brown. It's okay. We all right. Don't leave us out. We ain't chocolatey or light skin.
She thinks she's a dark skinned family. But.
I am. I'm paper bag brown. It's okay. I'm okay.
That's beautiful.
You know, I'm grateful for your answers, man. You guys are spot on.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I have a friend, a guy, and he when he goes out on dates, he has his deal breaker list, right? We all know every time before you get into a serious relationship, you've got your deal breaker list and your other list, right? The deal breaker list are things that you can't, no way, no how, bend on. It's like you either have this or you don't, and this is not, we can't even move forward. Mm-hmm. So do you know on the first date, he pulls out his deal breaker list. There's 10 items on his deal breaker list. And he literally, at the first date, says, hey, do you want to have sex before marriage? I don't. She says yes, he's gone. He doesn't even go through the other questions. If she says no, he continues on. Do you believe in God? Like he literally goes through his deal breaker list on the first date. He's like, Obi, why should I invest my money, my time, my energy, my thoughts, my love, my heart into somebody just to find out 3 months later what I could have learned in the first 3 minutes? And I was like, wow, that's amazing. I don't know that I've had the courage to do that. I've never done that. But man, he's got
so no tact on his end, but that's okay.
So no, I think that's good. Like what you said, like that's gonna run some people off. This is for somebody watching now or watching the replay. I might run some people off. You're gonna run the right ones off.
But that's the thing, is somebody out there for him. I think that's one of the issues singles like, oh, I need to be married tomorrow. Be married tomorrow to the wrong person if you want to, or else have a little patience and make sure they match your list, because it's somebody else that's out there in the world, especially with the internet and everything else. She got her 10 lists.
She gonna pull her list out too.
Do you have sex before you marry? Do you? What's in your account? My only thing would be to the brother, if you making her answer your questions, be willing to answer her questions. That's
right.
That's right.
Absolutely.
Totally.
But it's somebody out there with a list. I know.
No. A lot of them. All right, so we're going to another question.
Yeah, I want to see if somebody else asked one.
I see a few more.
Okay, well, Mario asked one, and Carlos, he asked this before you made that comment earlier. You're gonna laugh when you're gonna know exactly what I'm talking about when I ask the question. He says, why does it seem like lovemaking goes down the tube after you say I do? Signed, Anonymous. We have no idea who asked
Anonymous. Oh, I gotta find her.
Romance. Like, are you still doing the same thing? Are you still romancing her? I mean, Anonymous.
All right.
Are you still romancing him? You know, I think that's an important issue that probably needs to be addressed. What are the things that kept the excitement going, and what are the agitations that are showing up now that's causing the sex to decrease? Because that is a legitimate phase that couples go through. Like, wives sometimes lose their libido. I mean, they just lose it. I mean, men sometimes lose their drive. And when that happens, what are those things that they're replacing that with? Because sometimes people can actually replace a sex drive with overindulgence in their children. Or they can replace a sex drive with overindulgence in a hobby. But fact is, there is a transmuting going on because God has placed that desire in us. So it must be fulfilled in some way. I'm not saying it has to be fulfilled sexually, but in some other form of passion. That passion in you has to be released in some way. So there is a level of transmuting going on. So it's just a matter of you identifying where that transmutation is happening, and remind your wife, open up the scripture. What's the scripture, man? Where it's like, your body is not your own, says the Lord. So even if you're fasting and you want to abstain from sex during your fast, you've got to get permission from your spouse if that's okay, because it is illegal in the eyesight of the Lord to withhold yourself sexually from your spouse. So not only is that not safe, but that's very, very unhealthy during sex, because God ordained and he designed sex to keep you bonded and to keep chemistry alive in your union and to keep you connected. So sex has so many different functions. So to allow that to go down is very, very dangerous. So definitely, I'm not saying you need to call 911. All I'm saying is pray about it, anonymous, and then find out what's happening, where that transmuting is going.
Well, back to one of the first things we said, you got to grow up, because also, like we were saying, marriages, it has its stages, like you're even pointing on or hinting on or talking about, whatever words you want to use. Anyway, marriage has its stages. When you're in the baby stage and you're having children, which, we both know a lot about.
Thank you.
When you are 8 months pregnant, 9 months pregnant, there's not a lot of sex that's going to be going on, at least for me. I was like, come on, really? I'm big as all get out. Give me a minute. Like, I'm stretched. But anyway, so that's maturity on the husband's part, to be considerate and not be pushy about it. But the lady, okay, I can't get too explicit, but woman, you're going to have to do some other things.
Red raspberry leaf tea.
No, that's not what she said.
Oh.
No, you're going to have to do some other things to help relieve the pressure.
That's important.
Yeah.
That's so important.
I'm serious. It doesn't always have to be sex, but there's some other things that you could do to help relieve the pressure.
Right.
In order, because you got to mature. It's not all about you. It's not about, I don't want to do nothing tonight.
Right.
Well, I don't want to pay these bills to have this roof over your head. How about that? And I'm not saying she don't work either, but it's not all about you. And you have to mature. You have to grow up. Everybody's tired. Who's not tired?
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's tired. That cannot be our excuse all the time. I was watching Joyce Myers one time. She was talking about how she came from a conference, and she speaks in front of thousands and thousands of people on a regular basis. And she came from, like, I want to say, a week-long conference this time, got home, and she could tell her husband wanted to enjoy her fully. And she was like, oh. She's like, give me a minute. What? Spruced herself up, came back out, did what she needed to do. Just trying to keep it whatever way you want to keep it, because we get explicit, but we're not going to do that.
We're going to say that for the 26th.
We're going to say that to her. No, we're not.
There you go. Daddy, topics, you better get registered.
Listen.
There are other things you need to do, and you need to talk to other saved married women, because women are women, and some women can help in some areas a little more than others.
That's right.
And I'm serious. Like, I have a group of married women that they talk real to me, and give me tips as a married woman, and I can trust it, because for one, like I said, I'm not allowing just anybody and everybody into my relationship. Like I said, first of all, these are Christian married women. Some are his relatives, so I know they ain't trying to get with my husband. Like, that's nasty. But anyway, like, everybody trying to have. Never mind. Let me keep going. Anyway, and so talking to them, getting some helpful hints. What do they do in those situations?
Yes. So back to association. Excellent point.
Yeah.
Recruiting is real. Let me stop.
No, I think we heard you loud and clear. We did. And thank you for the honesty. I love that. I love the candidness.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you, Georgie, for sharing the scripture. That's 1 Corinthians 7:4 and 1 Corinthians 6:9. Thank you so much. She's always got her back. So awesome.
So listen, as we start to get to the end here, this is that sad part again where we start moving towards, ending the conversation just for the sake of time. Let me ask you guys this. We've been alluding to this throughout this entire conversation. The Unleash Your Best Version of You for 2018 conference. And every single speaker we've had on here, we've asked the same question. And so here is that question to you. Why should the folks watching, not only should they get registered, but why should they get a friend, get a cousin, get a mom, get their dad, get another loved one to join them at this conference? Why should they take advantage of what's coming up a week from today?
Yes.
You want first?
I would say if you knew you had the answer to someone's serious problem, if you knew somebody was so thirsty they were dying of thirst,
right.
And you're sitting over there with a bottle of water, like, that's so sad. You over there dying of thirst. I wish. You sitting there with a bottle of water.
Right.
Go give them the answer and help solve their problem for them. Same thing. This is real. This is great. Covenant Marriage Academy has helped our marriage. We've been married, we've only been married 16 years. Like, people have been married way longer than us. You need it because there are going to be stages, there are going to be times in your life that you need more information. You need a helpful hint here and a helpful hint there. You don't have to, why try to find all the answers yourself when you can plug in and get the answers from Covenant Marriage Academy? It's like, come on, that's selfish. That's not.
I'll say this.
Wait a minute, I'm not finished. Okay. We need to pray for these people. Dear baby Jesus. Dear baby Jesus.
I think they received it. I think they received it. I will say this. It will save your marriage, or it can save your marriage before your marriage starts. Right? Two things. It'll save your marriage, or it can save your marriage before your marriage starts. Watch this. Let's say your marriage doesn't need any saving. Kudos to you. It can make your marriage wonderful. If it's great, don't you want it to be wonderful? If it's okay, don't you want it to be great? Well, that doesn't just happen. So by doing this, you can save your marriage or the marriage of somebody else. You might not have all the answers, but you can plug somebody else into a place that does have the answers. So I'll say quite simply again, it can save your marriage. This conference on the 26th will be a place that you can look back in your life, or your grandchildren can look back in their lives and say that we're here. This lineage is continue because Granny and Granddaddy made a decision on December 26th. It can really be that for you. It can save it. It can save it before it starts. Or if it's in a good place, it can take your marriage to a wonderful place. And I don't know anybody who's married that has a good marriage that doesn't want it to be wonderful.
That's right.
That's like asking somebody, do you want more money?
Right. You gonna say no?
No. Why would I? Because it's just the idea that there are so many wrong ways of doing it out there in the world, in society. There's so many wrong examples of marriage. There's so many just negative, wrong examples. So let's tap into a good source. And I felt like I was preaching for a second. A good source. Can I get a good source? Amen. But let's tap in. Let's tap in. But no, seriously.
Invest in your marriage.
Yes.
People invest in everything else. You go get your teeth checked up. Some people get their head checked up. People get their health checked up. When's the last time you got your marriage checked up? And it shouldn't only be before you get married. You should have some counsel before you get married. You shouldn't always go to get counsel when your marriage is in a bad place. Go to the checkup, get your marriage checked up on the 26th. to make sure it keeps running well. You don't take your car to go get a regular maintenance every time it's breaking down. You shouldn't wait till it breaks down. Don't wait till your car breaks down. Go get the oil change because you know you're about to travel this car some more. Your marriage is going to keep going. Get your marriage checked up on the 26th.
Y'all hear what I just said?
Get it checked up.
I just said that. That was good. I just said that. No, that was good.
That was good. That was good. In fact, I think Bill King would agree with you because right before you said that, Bill posted, he said, yes, sir. People will service their cars to keep them running smoothly before they service their marriage. Isn't that interesting?
Wow.
They will service their car and not their marriage. And isn't that interesting? What are they getting ready to drive away? I wonder. So I highly encourage you all. Like,
that's why they were servicing their cars. They're like, I'm out of here.
That's real. That's real. That's real. That's my man Vex here in Florida, man. Vex. What's up, man? Very good point, Vex, man. Thank you for chiming in. He's actually done a lot of stuff with us, man. Beautiful family, children, lived in Georgia. Probably coming back too, man. But that's a very good point.
Excellent point. And my wife is actually posting the link right now, so you all can check it out. Okay. Or if you have your phone and you're watching, you can simply just text the word soulmate to 31996. So text the word soulmate as one word to 31996. And a link will pop up on your phone. You can click on there and go ahead and get registered, y'all. It's a week from today. It's on December 26th. So the 25th, spend with your family. Enjoy. Wake up that next day and join us on the seminar. Now, check this out. Even if you can't make it on the 26th, here's what I suggest. Get registered because only those who are registered can download it. So even if you know, oh, man, that day is tough because we're going to be out with the family. I get it. That's been a challenge for some people. And several people have reached out saying, man, how can I get a hold of this? I keep hearing about it, but I'm not available that day. Go ahead and get registered, and then you can download it and watch it at your leisure. In fact, we made it downloadable so that you can turn it into a home study course, right? Because, you know, you read the book the first time, you got a few things out of it. Go the second time, you get more the second than you did first. So we're giving that ability to you all to be able to continue to learn from this seminar instead of just learning one time. So Carlos and CeCe Spencer, we are grateful for the two of you. God has used your 16 years of marriage to bless I don't even know how many people that will watch this video. We're excited and looking forward to what you all have to share on Tuesday because you two are two of the trainers that will be speaking that day. And in fact, you'll be speaking towards celibacy and towards the things to do to prepare yourself for marriage. And I think who better to do that than a couple who's been at it. I mean, you guys are 4 years away from being married 20 years.
And that's so young.
Yeah, I mean, you guys look like you're in your 20s.
Yeah.
You know, so we're excited, y'all. That's right. That's right. But listen, you all, thank you so much again. We love you. God bless the two of you. Tell your children we say thank you for letting us borrow y'all tonight. We heard them in the background breaking up.
Do you hear them knocking stuff over? I'm sorry.
So it's all good. My son is our son has already called my phone about 4 times since we've been on here, and he's only 2 years old. So I don't even know how he figures out where my number is, but we're excited for what's going to happen on next Tuesday. So listen, you guys, those of you who are watching, please take advantage of this because as of next week, it'll be done for good. So you won't be able to get this information no matter how bad you may want it. So give yourself a good gift, right? Don't spend all your money on things that people will forget about come a week from December 25th. Invest in yourself. Watch the dividends on that. The ROI on investing in your own self and your own marriage is ridiculous. It really is. So any final thoughts, please? Please close out.
No, honey, you did such a great job. And you guys did such a great job, too. Just to reiterate, the only thing I would say is let this conference be your gift to yourself.
Yeah.
Allow this conference do something for you for a change. Invite some friends over, whatever, however, have a Unleash 2018 party. And then when you're done, the ladies and I are at the end of the conference, we're going to then create our vision boards for the ones that have actually attended the conference. So we are really going to make this a culture thing. This is going to be more than just an event. It's going to be a movement. And we're really, really serious about what's happening. Like Allison actually said the last time when she was here, she on live last week, that God is truly doing something for the end of the year. Just because we look at the calendar and we only see 7 days left before Christmas or before the event and only 14 days left before the New Year's out, It does not mean that this year is over. God is looking to rebirth and renew something brand new in each and every one of you. But you have got to make a decision that this is what you're going to do. The only way for you to be successful in life or in anything is to combine God's power with your human effort. And in regards to this and the rest of your future for this new year, it's signing up and registering for the conference. Make the sacrifice, sow that seed in yourself. It's not about us. You can't get what you're going to get for $97 anywhere else. It is impossible. It's not going to happen. So sow a seed in yourself and make this happen. And we look forward to seeing your vision, helping you write your vision and watching it come into fruition. So God bless you guys. Take care. If no one else has told you, Obi and Belinda Indu with Covenant Marriages Academy, Carlos and Cece Spencer, we absolutely love you guys. And we love you all. Take care, take charge, and we will see you on the 26th of December.
Get registered.
All right, you guys. Bye now. Tune in either tomorrow or Thursday. We got a powerful guest speaker for you.
Yes.
Pay attention to the page. God bless. See you on the next live.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.